Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? It's your multimedia designer, Bernard Fields, and I am here live at another Google Hangout, just showing you a little bit behind the scenes as to what I do when it comes to putting together film projects, or I should say digital film, because I don't think we really even deal with film anymore. That's just a technical term. But yes, I'm putting together a documentary for I'm an individual, and I was just kind of like given all this footage. I mean, I was given like I want to say 3 terabyte. No, not 3 terabytes. That's too much. That would I think it was like close to a terabyte worth of um, footage, and it was not just footage. It was like audio, and it was like journal clippings, and it was like, hey, here's this big puzzle piece, jigsaw puzzle I need for you to put together. So, quick story, it was just kind of like thrown in my lap, and it took me some time to go through a majority of that footage. I didn't get a chance to go through all of it because it was just way, way too much. Um, but I went through a lot, if not a majority of the footage, and tried to piece together the story. And the story is about this group of people um, who climb Kilimanjaro. And they do it for a fundraiser project, and it's following 3 individuals. Um, those are the main characters, I guess you could say, of this documentary. And to get the story, I had to first sit down, go through the footage they provided me, and to piece together what I thought made sense, because the clippings were very organized, but at the same time, I just really didn't have a timeline, like as far as how many days uh, they were spent um, in Tanzania and their journeys. Like one guy, I found out like during my interview process with him that he was actually already in Africa, like for a month or so before the other two showed up. And even when the other two showed up, they were in Tanzania a whole week before he arrived to Tanzania from another location in Africa. So it was quite a learning experience for me. I am currently right now trying to wrap things up after like a month and a half of poking around at this, and it's coming along pretty well, in my opinion. Um, Working really close with the guy, making sure that everything makes sense, that the timeline makes perfect sense, and that it's not uh, out of place. I did use a couple of clips that were like just to kind of get the story, I guess, a visual story. I purposely was like, it doesn't matter if this one is really, really in place because it's not pertaining to something specific that the individual is saying. But anyways, I am going to show you what I'm working on instead of talking your heads off. So I'm going to just do share entire screen here. And I'm going over here to Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is my editing software of choice. I don't know if you can hear this. But this is my weapon of choice when it comes to putting together edits for visual, not visual effects, even though it has a little bit of visual effects in it, capabilities in Premiere Pro, but this is kind of to put together your story, to put together your film. After Effects is more for adding special effects and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, I am about, let's take a look at this. This is the whole documentary so far, and I'll explain to you what I did. This blue dot, first of all, this is the very beginning. And I began to time things out. I kind of mapped it out saying like, okay, the whole documentary is going to be about 50 minutes. And as you can see, I'm way over that 50-minute mark. And so when I did that, marked it down for 50 minutes, I then went ahead and started to put a timeline, like, map it out, mark it up as far as, how much time do I have allotted to talk about a particular point in this documentary, such as the arrival, them getting ready. And that's all what you see right here that's in red. Like it's the starting point of, like here it says Eric, the starting point of the introduction to Chris. Then I have a part in here that says B-roll, the introduction to Katie, and so on. And then, packing day. This is Tanzania, to another portion of Tanzania. So it's like when you go over this, you kind of get an idea of what the people are talking about, or what point in the documentary this is all about. And then things are color coded also, which I think is very, very important. Like for the female, I decided to color code her as pink and this light purple. I have one of the guys, he is color coded as being this this brownish color. And then I have the other guy, he has this green hue to him. And you're probably asking and wondering, like, well, why is this up here, blue, and this is down here, this is different? Well, I don't know, but it's an easy fix. I mean, I just kind of just highlight it like such. And then I just right click on it. And then I'd go to my label, and my label is labeled as Chris. And I go in and I change that up. So this is Chris, and then voila, there you have it. And I'll just do the same thing for this while I'm at it. Go label, and this way I stay better organized, because the worst thing that can happen is trying to put together something this massive, this big, and then not be able to look at your timeline and know just based off of looking at it what's what. Like I have color code going on down here, so I know who's speaking without even having to look up here. And then if I want to know, okay, like I find out this is Katie speaking, what she's talking about, this is her introduction. If I go up here and I see that this is Eric, what is he talking about? I can hover above this, and it says Eric tells of how he almost missed his flight, blah, 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 blah. And it's just a lot of note taking. This light blue, this is my B-roll, and my B-roll, I have this is my main timeline up here. And then down below, where I have it organized, I have my B-roll, which is my rough cut. That's my rough cut. And then I have Eric's interview, which is right here. And I also have Chris's interview, which is right here. Then I also have Katie's interview, which is right here. So you can already see that it's already color coded. And as I'm pulling down, pulling from up here, cutting down from here and pulling it up there, it's automatically keeping everything organized. That's the main thing you want to do, is when you are working on a feature-length film, especially when something is past 15 minutes, you want to really make sure that you keep your stuff organized. Because if not, you're going to get lost, and your development process is going to be a lot longer than expected. What other things that I have going on here? Yeah, when it comes time for me to, as I say, trim the fat, because I went over my my end point, my end mark, in which I was already given the okay. They said, hey, if you go over, that's all right. Just do what feels right. And then if we need to go back and cut some things out, then we'll go ahead and cut some things out. And that's a painful process, because sometimes you feel like, I don't want to cut anything out. It's just so good. I just don't want to do that. But you have to sometimes. But things kind of got off with my points up here, but I left those all in place. I didn't start moving those things around, because I'm like, what, maybe I do need to go ahead and stick to the game plan, in which At this point, personally, I'm like, I don't know how that's going to happen because the storyline, everything is so daggone good. I don't want to cut anything out. So again, here at the end, I am just trying to continue to keep putting and piecing this story together. Now, at first, I wasn't really interested in the B-roll in the beginning, as you can see. I didn't get interested in B-roll until like around 15 minutes. And then after that, I was really interested in the B-roll. And I try to keep B-roll on its own separate layer so that I can kind of move things around without them overlapping and cutting each other off, which I'm not going to show an example of that because it's not something I want to do, is cut things and have to go back and fix it. But I'm just kind of giving you guys like a rough as to the process. Let me see what I have here. I don't know why I have this gap here. But having a gap there is fine because maybe I can just go ahead and delete that gap depending on how the story is going. And speaking of which, when it comes to having your documentary, you want to make sure your story is solid. I mean, you should really be able to go to the very beginning and press play and walk away and just listen and get a good visual as to what is being told. And it should make sense. If you can't do that after listening to your piece and it doesn't make sense, then that means you have to go back to your drawing board because story is key. You just can't hang your hat on visuals because that's not going to cut it. And you see that happen sometimes within major feature films, is that it looks great, but the storyline is horrible, absolutely horrible. And I think that when it comes to any movie, a good practice is to just listen to the movie. Listen to the movie. It doesn't matter what genre it is in. Just listen to it. And when I mean listening to it, I mean just from the sound effects to the music and what is being said, the dialogue. And if you feel like, man, this was great, or that this was good as listening, then it means that you are on your way to having an awesome project because now you have the visuals. And the visuals can mess it up, but if your visuals are on point, then you're going to have yourself a dynamite piece. So that's what I'm trying to conquer right now. Is trying to make sure I have that dynamite, finished product. I feel like the story is coming along, and the pacing of it. That's what caused me to start getting B-roll too, was the pacing of the story. I didn't want to feel like things were like back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as, from one topic to the next topic to the next topic. I really wanted this to breathe, to have a little life, to have some soul to it and not be so robotic. Roboticness, if that's the word, I just made it up, put it in the dictionary. Roboticness can happen when it's just boom, boom, boom. It's just one after another, after another, after another. It's like topic, and it's like there's no pause. There's no sense of emotion. Like if you want something to have a serious tone, then you should slow it down. Like it really should be slowed down so that your audience can take it in. But if something is really emotional, the story is being told and it's just like you're talking about something very serious or something that's sad, emotional, and then you jump straight into it being happy, then it's like you kind of lose your audience. It's almost like you kind of jerking them around too much, not allowing them to be able to sit and bask in that emotion. Even when it comes to something, being happy, take your time. Have a moment where it just breaks and you just have this silence and just let the B-roll go. Speaking of which, I also have a soundtrack to this that's called The Soil and the Sun. Go check them out. They have some really awesome music, very organic. seeing that this is a very organic type of documentary. Soil in the Sun soundtrack also plays a big part in listening, but you want to add the soundtrack after you get your story. So that's the next thing that I will be doing. After I get my story down, then I'm going to start adding a sound bed, the soundtrack to this. And it's going to be awesome, because then the visuals, which I'm also putting along with it, is all going to make sense. So I think that that if I continue on a path that I'm on right now, then it's going to turn out great. It's going to turn out awesome. So let me see. I guess what I'll do is I will show you guys a little bit of the process, and hopefully you guys can hear it. If not, then that's okay. I will continue and then show you guys after it's okay by the client what I came up with. But this is the end part right here, so you guys can check this out.
So I think we made a deal that his men would carry me part of the way to Uhuru. And I, you have to listen to everything I say. If I tell you you have to be carried, you have to agree to be carried. And so I agreed, because I was going to do anything to get to the top. They started carrying me at first. I think they carried me maybe half a mile. And I mean, when you get to the top, it's hard even on the porters who are used to it.
And you can see that is really, really rough. Like her vocals, as far as being in and out, it's like really harsh.
I could see the sign in the distance, and I kept my same pace, and then finally we made it.
So all that's going to kind of be hidden with music, kind of like, the undertone. And it's going to be good. And as you can see, it's all happening right here.
And then I cried again, but it was good tears this time. I remember Albert, who's our guide, said, these are happy tears.
Okay, so where did I pull the voiceover piece that you see right here, that you can't see? Like if I hide this layer right now, the B-roll layer, you can see her talking right there.
I remember Albert, who's our guide, said,
but it looks better when you have the B-roll going.
And then I cried again, but it was good tears this time. I remember Albert, who's our guide, said,
so you're going to have this clip right here, B-roll clip, mixed with her audio, and also mixed with a nice sound bed that's going to fall right beneath that. And I got her audio clip from the Katie sequence, which is right here.
And then I cried again, but it was good tears this time. I remember Albert, who's our guide, said, these are happy tears.
So what I'll do is, to show you how I pulled that up there, I'll just move this right here, and I'll delete that. And what I did was I went down from this sequence, clicked it, and I pulled up here just like that. And then it just snaps in place. And then when I press play,
and then I cried again,
it's the same thing. So that's kind of what I do, is that I go through and I start to piece together the story, because what I have is three. I have one story that's told from three different perspectives. It's almost kind of like the four gospels, but this is like the three gospels of Kilimanjaro. And each of their stories is amazing because they didn't sit down together. As you can see, like this is Katie, and then Chris, he was at his workshop. And then Eric, he was all the way out in California. And he had his own camera set up. And so when the story is being told, you have to try to, first of all, kind of imagine as if all three were sitting in the same room together and imagine them talking. Like, who would be the right person to speak up? You know, like I wouldn't have Eric talking on behalf of Chris as to how he felt, not if Chris is there to be able to speak up on his own personal behalf. And the same thing when it comes to Katie and vice versa with Eric. I do the best that I can to try to find the emotion. Where is the experience being told best from? And then to trim the fat, sometimes I just stick with just the facts as to what happened. May not pay attention or even care too much about the emotion behind it, unless it's like, you know, important to the story that's going to lead into the next sequence. But for the most part, it's like just facts. It's like, okay, I climbed the mountain, or I saw this. And if I have space and time, then I'll say, you know, I climbed the mountain and I felt like this, or I saw this and it looked like that. That type of a deal. So yeah, it takes a long time to get this type of work done. And I've learned that. I thought to myself, like, this is going to be easy, a piece of cake, but it is not as easy as it seems. You know, cutting together just 8 minutes takes roughly about a solid, if I say a solid 4 hours. You know, I mean, it's like, it's grueling because you have to sit down and you have to make sure you get the story together, unless you have like a storyboard already mapped out for a feature film. And even then, just imagine having to go from take to take to take. Like, you know, like one scene may have 3 different camera angles, and each camera angle will have possibly up to at least maybe 5 takes, you know, and then you have to take that information, 15 different clips, and you have to piece it all together to where it makes sense, you know, like to where your storyboard is matched up to what you're doing digitally, and that you're picking the best take from that scene from each camera as far as the angle. That is tedious work. So you're talking maybe 30 seconds can take, and we're talking about 30 seconds of footage can take up to, I would say, God, maybe an hour, you know, or maybe a half an hour, you know, but you have to like go through all that footage. So I have a film that I'm currently working on scripting out, and I'm keeping all this in mind. I'm like, man, this is going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be a lot of work, a ton of work. And just to get it right, it's going to take a lot of dedication. And this, I can say right now, this takes a lot of dedication. And there's been times where I was like, I don't feel like doing this. I really don't. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't force myself to do it. I'd be like, whatever, man. I'm not feeling it. And then there'll be other times where I'm like, you know what? I need to just walk away from this, come back an hour later, and then have a refreshed approach. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch back over here. I'm gonna stop presenting everybody so you can see. Cool. So yeah, like that's pretty much it. It is it's fun. It's something that I love doing. But I can only do for so long. Like that's the crazy part about it. It's like I can only do this for so long. So with that being said, I hope you guys got something out of it. You guys got questions, leave them in the comments down below, and hopefully I'll be able to get to them. And you can follow me on Twitter at Nuncio78, and that's NUNCIO 78. You can also follow me on Facebook, or find me on Facebook and friend me. I don't have that many friends yet to be able to be followed only, but you can follow me at fb.com/Nuncio78. And yeah, let's connect on that. And I'll see you guys till next time. Peace in and confusion out.